Hi there. So I am back to discuss the flame letters. So one of the questions I was asked when I did the New Earth teaching series was, what are flame letters? And as I said in the last video I did, the Q&A, it is a huge subject. So this is what the 9 responded in a brief response. I asked for a brief response. As I said in the last video, I could write a series of books for the rest of my life on this one question. But in the briefest sense, this is what the 9 responded. These are the individualized symbols that stand as letters of the alphabet or numbers within the mathematical scale or clock, if you will. They are individualized aspects as pure light coded information of the full divine pre-matter fabric that is the eternal flame, dragon's breath. They are living light language keys that hold quantum coded information and creation genesis codices at infinity level. They are the coded genetic sequences that exist within the aspect of your DNA that your scientists refer to as junk. So I'm going to go through this and try to deliver information about what flame letters are in the most concise way. As I said, it is a hugely vast subject. And I guess the best way of explaining why it's such a vast subject is to say that this is the language of source, the language of creation, the language of the universe, the language of God. It is the word. So in the Bible, it says in the beginning was the word. This is the word. This is the sound. This is the creational fabric that is used to create. So let's go through what the 9 said. These are the individual symbols. So flame letters presented as symbols that stand as letters of the alphabet or numbers within the mathematical scale or clock. So these are numbers and letters at the same time. So we're looking at an alphabet, and letters within an alphabet are the building blocks to create words and phrases and sentences for communication and creativity. And numbers within the mathematical scale are digits used for counting, and the clock, digits used for telling the time. So that's what these are. These are individualized symbols that are letters and numbers for alphabet, mathematical scale, and clock. So for the creation of words, the use of numbers and counting and mathematics and geometry, and to tell the time or to build the time or present the time. They are individualized aspects. So these symbols are individualized aspects of something larger, as in we have a collective consciousness, we have a source field of expression, we have a God source expression, God, one unified God particle, if you will. And these are individualized aspects of that as pure light coded information. So each symbol is a light coded information. Each symbol is a code. Each symbol is an infinity structure in and of itself. Each symbol is pure light, coded light, full of information, full of that which we can unravel and communicate with and understand. So pure light coded information of the full divine pre-matter fabric. So the full divine pre-matter fabric is the fabric of, if you will, the Akashic records, the Akash. Kind of goes deeper than that if you move beyond the phrase Akashic records or Akash into the very fabric of creation, the pre-matter fabric of creation. This would be the fabric of the 0 point. This would be pure potentiality. before it has manifested in its created form or creation. So this would be the pre-matter fabric that is neither the creator nor the creation, but is both the fabric of the creator and the pre-matter fabric of the creation. And the 9 go on to say, of the full divine pre-matter fabric that is the eternal flame, dragon's breath. So this is what the 9 call or give name to for this pre-matter fabric. The eternal flame, as in a flame that is forever burning. And the reason why they refer to this as a flame is because when you look at this pre-matter fabric clairvoyantly, or when I look at this pre-matter fabric clairvoyantly, and I'm sure there are others that see this same image. Obviously, when we're looking in a remote viewing clairvoyant sense, we each see something subjectively within our own understanding of it and our own perception of it, but it's the same thing we're looking at, but we may perceive it in many different ways. But it looks like a flame. It doesn't really look like fire that we would look at if we're looking at a naked flame. It is more like movement. It is more like a movement that looks like the flickering embers of a flame, of a fire. It just looks like something that's holding so much power and information and life force concentrated together in this ever burning flame. It's actually, the 9 say this is actually kinetic energy, or rather there's another word for it, which I'm not aware of, but it's to do with being kinetic. It is a kinetic energy, and it is also morphogenetic. So it's kinetic and morphogenetic. It's a morphogenetic field of kinetic energy. That's what it is. That's what it looks like. That's the frequency it holds. And it looks like a flame, but not like a fire, more like the burning embers on coals, glowing all the time. And the 9 call this the eternal flame because it's always the flame. It's the oneness. If you separate this full collective unity field that is this morphogenetic field in its unified sense, if you were to split it into 2, you would have the twin flame. That is what the twin flame is. So all of this talk throughout the Lightwork and New Age spiritual community about the twin flame. The twin flame is not just you and your divine counterpart, you and your partner. The twin flame is the first split or first separation from the eternal flame. It is the first division as source wished or wishes to experience itself and to know itself. That's the true twin flame. And the other word the 9 give to call this morphogenetic field, this kinetic flame energy, is dragon's breath. And that's because the dragon is the symbol of the flame letter itself, the movement through this vast keys of light coded information. The dragon is the symbol for that, and the breath of the dragon is fire. The breath of the dragon is the flame. So it's dragon's breath, eternal flame, kinetic energy, pre-matter fabric, morphogenetic material, morphogenetic field. That's what this is. And these flame letters are individual symbols from it. So it's like wading into this eternal flame and picking individualized aspects out of it. So the eternal flame is an infinity. It's an infinity structure. But when you take out one symbol, that's an infinity structure, and you can open it up and there's another eternal flame within it. That's the holographic nature of creation. So you can take another symbol and open that up and it's an eternal flame. That is a infinity structure. So each symbol, each flame letter is a building block, an individualized consciousness building block of the very fabric of this eternal flame this morphogenetic field, but it is the field as well, because when you open it, you're in the same place. You're back to the eternal flame. Every single flame letter holds that infinity structure. The 9 go on to say they are living light language keys. So they're living because they're alive. They hold consciousness. That's why they're living. They are pure consciousness, pure intelligence, pure intelligent energy in an infinite presentation, in and of themselves, individualized. Light language. This is what light language is. So when someone in the spiritual community talks about delivering light language, that is their personal experience of and presentation of light language of this field. That's what they're doing when they present light language through speaking, speaking in language that we understand, or speaking in tongues, or using toning or sound, or using artwork. That is what they are. That's what they are experiencing, perceiving, and delivering. They're allowing this morphogenetic fabric, this pre-matter fabric, the eternal flame, to move through them, and they are expressing it. Now, some individuals may only be able to access a small part of this, because the one flame letter within this vast unified consciousness that is an infinity is, let us say, challenging to hold in its entirety. That would make you omnipresent when you do that. So it really depends on your ability to expand your fields as to how much of this pre-matter fabric you can hold, perceive, experience, and then deliver to others, to radiate to others. So you may have one spiritual healer or teacher or channel that's delivering 5% of one flame letter, one infinity structure, or another may be delivering 20%, or another may be delivering 95%. It depends on the expansion of the individual and how much they can perceive of that infinity. And many who hold the light language presentations don't have to perceive the infinite structure. All they know is that they feel an energy, it has a presence, and they're going to deliver it. And some don't even rationalize that. Others will just say, I'm going to deliver light language, without any understanding of what the light language is, but it's still moving through them. And then there are others that are attempting to do this, but are mimicking because it hasn't quite occurred for them yet. And that's a whole other story throughout the spiritual community. So it's not necessarily easy from one perspective, but once you move into that expansion, that level of DNA activation, it becomes easy for you. But it's something you awaken to, it's something you connect with. It's just like playing music. If you are given a piano and you've never played a piano before, and someone says, play me a beautiful symphony, you know, you're just going to be sat there with your fingers pressing the keys, not knowing what you're doing. And some might be geniuses and start playing. That's another presentation of a rare human. But you could take a dedicated individual who would then take that piano and practice every day and get better and better and better and better until they are really good. And some of those individuals might still only be able to present a mediocre tune on that piano. Others may practice much less and present a much better, much more profound piece of music, so much so that it makes people cry when they listen to it. That's because practice is only one part of the moving into the experience of that infinite structure that is the pre-matter template eternal flame. It is also to do with the genetic code that you were born with, that your soul carries. So some individuals are born with the they're missioned, if you will. They're born with the mission to do this, to connect with this eternal flame. So anyone who is deeply creative, they may never have heard of flame letters or light language, but they are absolutely allowing that to come through them in their own personal, unique way. So they are living because they are alive. Each individualized symbol is alive. Light, living light language keys, light. They are photonic light, as I've spoken about before. This is not light that is from the sun, even though there is a connection there, because the sun is the physical emanation of photonic light. So behind the sun, there are many, many other suns. And when you go right back to the source of those emanating suns, then that is photonic light. It is an expression of the eternal flame. All of those infinite suns that then result in our physical sun is the physical manifestation of the eternal flame. So our sun is a physical manifestation of the eternal flame. It is an infinity structure in its physical presentation, yet its structure is infinite, but its ability to present in a physical form third dimensionally is finite. But that's another whole other subject, and that does not mean the sun is going to stop burning any day soon at all. But universes have a finite structure to them when they're third and fourth dimensional. Only when you get to the fifth dimensional does the infinity kick in. But again, that's a whole other subject. So they are living light. So we're looking at photonic light. This is light that is internal within something rather than expressing itself outwardly. So the sun or electric light sort of radiates outwards and allows you to see. It shines light on things. Your eyes work with this light to see. But photonic light is within. It can't be seen with the naked eye. One has to view clairvoyantly what this photonic light looks like. And the photonic light is the expression of the flame letter. So a flame letter is an infinite structure within that eternal flame that is, if you will, an implosion when you're looking at the difference between explosion and implosion. So the eternal flame would be an implosion because it's antimatter, it's an antimatter field, but when it begins to radiate outwards, then that the photonic light comes outwards from this flame letter eternal flame presentation, and that's what creates the creation. But it is in itself a living consciousness. So living light language, so that's important. If you break down the phrase light language, that's exactly what it is. It's a language. It is a form of communication that can be communicated with and utilized as communication. It is communication in itself, as in communication is alive. Communication itself is a living force. So that's what this is, living light language. It's alive, it's photonic light, and it is a language because it's communication itself, and you can utilize it. So when you allow light language to come through you, you are on one level communicating with it, on another level, you become it, you utilize it, you allow it to flow through you, but you become it as you express it. It unifies with you. That's what happens when you channel. You are bringing forward light language. You don't necessarily have to call it that. It's unique to you as to how you will present this. But it is just simply the same as I was saying about moving into an expansion, connecting with that morphogenetic field and allowing it to, for you to have a realization of what it is, allow it to move through you so you experience it. You experience it in your own unique way. So you have to work with some kind of frequency translation within you, and then you radiate it and express it, as in teach it, however that manifests within the third dimension. So they are living light language keys that hold quantum coded information. So whoever asked this question, as you can see, even the brief response from the 9 is vast, and I'm trying to move through this in the briefest sense so you can see how this subject in and of itself would be a lifetime study, just this one subject. So these living light language keys, so keys as in that which unlocks something, that which is something that will allow you to move into something else. If you imagine a key going in the lock and opening a door, it's a key. Or you could use the analogy of keys on a computer keyboard or on a piano. Notes, letters, that which you communicate with through music or typing or words, unlocking a door, keys, or whatever word you could, whatever image you could conjure up through the word key, then that's what this is. That's what this expresses itself as, living light language keys that hold quantum coded information. So quantum meaning infinite and multiple in varying presentations of the one thing. So quantum is just different expressions of a oneness. So you have one thing, one oneness, one unity, one infinity, and it's expressed in infinite ways. So that's quantum. That is the infinite expression of infinity in infinite ways. Infinite infinities, quantum, multiple, within the unified. So quantum, so you're looking at multiple, infinite, coded. So coded as in you have to decode it. You have to uniquely decode it with the ability that you have for expansion and for DNA activation and understanding and intelligence and awareness and open heart and telepathy and empathy and all of those things to code it. And then your code that you open up from that coded information will present in a unique way to you, even though it's the same code that is presented, or rather it's not the same code, it's a code that is unique when you look at it, coming from the same source, which is the unified field, this morphogenetic field, this eternal flame. That code is unique to you. As you open it up, it will be similar to other people's codes, and then you will then experience it, allow it to run through you, process it, and that can be a challenging journey. It can send you into fear if you're not ready for that code, and it can be a beautiful journey, and it can give you healing and knowledge and expansion if you are ready to receive that code. So it has everything within it, which is why it's quantum, various expressions of that one eternal flame, right across the spectrum from fear to love, and beyond both of those into absolute neutrality. So you are looking at service to self, neutral polarization, and service to others. So negative, neutral, positive is within this entire morphogenetic field that is the eternal flame. So flame letters can be service to self negative, and they can be service to others positive, and they can be neutral, because they are the expression of all and everything. That is the morphogenetic field, this eternal flame. That hold quantum coded information. Information, and this is the key here, because this is how we learn. Our learning is not something that is given to another person from one to another. So I have something to teach you, like this talk on flame letters. So it's not the case that you who are listening know nothing, and I know about flame letters, so I'm teaching you about flame letters. So Magenta is the teacher and you are the student, and I'm delivering the teaching to you. That's not how it is. That is a third dimensional interpretation of information sharing. The truth of the matter is, I am the same as you. I am the vessel. I don't know about flame letters. You are the vessel. You don't know about flame letters. And I am asked the question, What are flame letters? Therefore, I open my fields, I move into expansion, I allow myself to become the vessel, the conduit, move into the connection with the eternal flame, look at the flame letters and draw down the information. So I'm learning about the flame letters and what they mean in real time as I'm delivering the information to you. And what that's doing is triggering that which you already have. So that's what it means to resonate. It doesn't mean I agree with, it means I am feeling what you are saying, and together we are learning, and together we are teaching as one. That is what information sharing is. It's a match between the teacher and student. The teacher is the student and the student is the teacher. They are both the same. One is simply delivering as a radiation, as a expression, and the other is receiving as a trigger. So expression and trigger, that's it. And anything else is a third dimensional interpretation of teaching and learning, because teaching and learning are two parallels like light and love. They're a higher polarity structure. One of the questions I was asked is, what do you mean by higher polarity? That is a whole other subject, but it just means that there's still an opposing force, but it's no longer opposing in the way that we experience it here in third density. It is an opposing force because the forces are equal. They are equal and opposite reactions, but instead of having extreme polarity between them like fear and love, they have lesser polarity like teaching and learning, love and light. So the polarity lessens, or depending on perspective, becomes higher. So higher polarity simply means it's less dense. It is lighter, therefore it is higher. So fear and love, negative and positive, is extreme polarity, and the furthest polarity can go into dark and light, if you will. No light and all light is extreme polarity, which manifests as good and evil, negative and positive, service to self, service to others. That's how it manifests. But as you raise polarity, it lessens into this higher form. So that's what it means to have higher polarity, to the person who asked that question. So it is related to this. So information is that which you are able to receive, but you're only receiving it as the trigger, as the catalyst. You don't receive it because you didn't have it in the first place. You can only receive that which you already have. It's coded within you because our DNA is the morphogenetic field. Our DNA is the eternal flame. So it's inside you as well as out there. In the antimatter cosmos, in the antimatter multiverse, that is your DNA, which I'm just getting to. They are living light language keys that hold quantum coded information. So information is giving you that which you wish to experience, wish to know. That's your quest. What does this mean? What does this mean? Who am I? Where did I come from? All of that in an infinite structure in one flame letter. And the flame letter, because it's the infinite structure, is the catalyst in and of itself, because it's mirroring you, because it is you, because it's inside your DNA. They are living light language keys that hold quantum coded information and creation genesis codices. So creation, as in creation itself, genesis codices. So Genesis is the code for creation. Genesis is the word for creation. Genesis is a flame letter. The word Genesis is a flame letter because it means creation. It's much, much deeper. There's information about it in the Bible, but Genesis is a consciousness in and of itself, because if you put Genesis together with codices, Genesis codices are multiple infinite quantum codes for creation on a grand scale, because the eternal flame is, if you will, God or source, and the flame letters are the individualized aspects of that God source consciousness that individualizes into these infinite symbolic structures that are living photonic light, holding these creation genesis codices at infinity level, meaning every flame letter has the ability to create infinite quantum multiverses in and of itself. It's pure creation. That power. And if you clairvoyantly and psychically and empathically tune into the eternal flame, you can feel the life force, which is indescribable, really. I mean, you can try to describe it by saying it's an ever-burning flame. It's ultimate power. It's the most brilliant light. It's the most complicated mathematical language. It is the most extreme quantum geometric shapes and codes that you've ever seen. I mean, you can try to explain it as thousands and millions of people have done throughout history. They've tried to explain the morphogenetic field, the eternal flame, and they've used all these different terms to do it. And that's why we have so many different religions and so many different philosophies. They're all explaining the eternal flame, the morphogenetic field, the pre-matter template. They're all explaining that. That's what it is. It's the same thing. And the 9 come forward through me, and have done since I've been online for 12 years, and obviously before that. And that's basically what they're teaching me. That they're teaching me about this field. Everything is about the field and what the field can do. The morphogenetic field, the eternal flame. In fact, when you name it, you limit it to the expression of the name you've given it, which is why some people don't like labels, which I agree with. It's lovely to just look at it and say, hey, look at this, feel this, give it no name, just present it. But because we are beings that use communication, we name something in order to express it to others. So eternal flame, glowing embers, pre-matter template, pure creation, the eternal flame, the dragon's breath, you know, the diamond light. I mean, whatever name you want to give this consciousness that may or may not actually be consciousness, because that in itself is a polarity, and there's no proof that there is consciousness. The reason why the eternal flame separated itself into the twin flame and moved into the journey to experience all and everything and to know itself and to learn about itself and to see itself is to discover if it is conscious or not. It wants to know what it is, and that is a never-ending quest. There's no end to that quest. It's an infinite quest. That's why you cannot, from that perspective, say whether anything is conscious or not. Of course, from the third dimension, we absolutely understand consciousness. I am conscious, you know, this notebook here is not, because it's, you know, made of paper. But that's a third-dimensional interpretation. Consciousness itself is on a never-ending quest to discover the answer as to whether it's consciousness, whether it is conscious or not. And that's why we're all here experiencing these realities that we experience, because we're part of that discovery and we're part of that infinite quest. So they are living light language keys that hold quantum coded information and creation genesis codices at infinity level. This is my asking to the 9, can you explain what flame letters are in a brief way? So the response would be to put in as many words, if you will, that will explain the infinite structure of the flame letters in a brief way. So basically this response from the 9 is a lifetime's study, or rather multiple lifetimes study. You could even say infinite lifetime study, infinite books condensed down into 4 sentences. That's why they're using these words like creation, genesis, codices at infinity level. Because when you open up each word, it's a flame letter in and of itself. That's how the communication works. The communication itself, when it's coming from the morphogenetic field and through the conduit, then that expression of language is the morphogenetic field in and of itself, which is why channels say the words I'm writing or the words I'm speaking are coded and are catalysts for your awakening. They are DNA activation triggers. That's what it means, because the words are compressed and each one holds the infinite fabric of the morphogenetic field or the eternal flame. That's what the 9 are when they come forward with their responses to my questions. That is the expansion of my own mind that goes above that which I am able to process and understand. It goes outside of my ability to process and understand and moves into the expression of that pre-matter template or morphogenetic field. It's antimatter. And then it comes through me in the way that I'm able to express it as the 9. And that's why they're alive and living and are extraterrestrial and angelic and all those other things, and they live on other planets and they're Arcturian, etc., because they're living light language keys. They're living, they are alive, and each flame letter is an ascended master. Each flame letter is God, because when you open it up, it holds the same fabric as that it came from, because it's holographic. They are the coded genetic sequences. So they're coded. I've explained what the code is, an infinite code that you decode. Genetic. So they are passed down through the human, and they exist within the genes of the human. Sequences. So they run in sequence. Genetic sequencing, I mean, it's going into subjects that's way outside of my understanding, but sequencing is flame letters that are jumbled, that have been taken into order and laid out to create consciousness that exists within inside a organic structure that holds it, which is the human being. So the coded genetic sequences are that which exist within the aspect of your DNA that your scientists refer to as junk. So that is what is inside your DNA. These are these creation genesis codices at infinity level, genetically passed down through the human genetic line inside your DNA. That which the scientists call junk are sequences, are these flame letters that are taken from this eternal flame and sequenced into a code, into multiple codes that add up and mean something, like a language. So if you're supposed to be a ballet dancer, that's going to be in that sequence. If you chose when you were antimatter morphogenetic fabric that you wanted to be a racing driver, that's in your sequencing. If you chose, I want blue eyes and blonde hair, that's in your sequencing. I want to experience poverty and then I want to experience abundance, that's in your sequencing. I want to be a channel and I want to assist planet Earth go through an ascension process, that's in your sequencing. These are coded genetic sequences that exist within the aspect of your DNA that your scientists refer to as junk. And it's very interesting when I talk about the genetic expression and how it's passed down. The nearest thing, when I look clairvoyantly at that morphogenetic field, that eternal flame, and the flame letters that come from that, but the field itself that each flame letter holds and is, the nearest thing that holds that much creativity, that much creative power, the nearest thing that I can see in physical form is the sperm and the egg coming together. And when you look at the sperm clairvoyantly in and of itself, it looks like a mini morphogenetic field, but obviously it's holding DNA sequencing, but the creative force within it is the same as the morphogenetic field. And the egg is the receptacle, the receiver of that. That's the divine feminine, which is that which receives this energy, working together, which is the twin flame. So the eternal flame is the unified aspect of it. When it moves into the twin, it becomes radiation and absorption, or it becomes an outward moving force and an inward moving force, or explosion and implosion. That's the divine feminine and the sacred masculine. So the sperm represents the explosion and the egg represents the implosion. And that's how we are made as male and female, based on the morphogenetic field. So I think, you know, in the Bible it says, you are made in the image of God. You are made in God's image. And that's been interpreted for many years that, you know, God is a man with 2 arms and 2 legs and a head, just like we are. But that's not what it means. It's the morphogenetic field. It's the power of the Genesis codices at infinite level. It is the flame letters. So the flame letters are individualized symbols of that. So I hope that has assisted the individual who asked this question, what are flame letters? Because it is a huge subject. And I have literally just scratched the surface with this video, tried to present as much as I possibly can about this. But you know, I've literally, as I said, just scratched the surface with this video. But what I have given is a catalyst for your own understanding. So just this short video, if you weren't aware of this before, as in a processing sense, because everyone is aware of it at a DNA level, because it is you, so you can't not be aware of it. It's inside your body and your mind. But if you weren't aware of it at a processing level, then this catalyst that comes through this video, as you go away, go about your day, for some of you, it may not trigger anything, because it's just hasn't taken root, if you will. But for the majority of you that's listened to this video, you will go away and it will catalyze, and you will think, goodness, that's what this means. And now I can put this together with that, and it will be unique. Your experience will be unique. But yes, has this video triggered your DNA and activated it? Of course. That's what the role of the conduit is. It's not necessarily to deliver messages from an extraterrestrial or an angelic consciousness. It's to catalyze. That's it. It is to catalyze through radiation and the delivery of one's own unique expression through their perspective. And what their perspective is will depend on the expansion that they hold and the way that they're able to deliver that. So that is the response to the question, what are flame letters? So thank you to the person who asked this question. I hope this video has helped, and thank you so much for listening, and I will see you again soon. Bye. What is karma? Are there ways we can balance this and become karma-free? Is there a particular nutritional plan we should follow for ascension? Do we increase our karmic balance by eating certain foods? How can we utilize sex magic to work with karma and move through ascension? There are many lessons we can learn from the peoples of ancient Lemuria, a civilization that existed before our known history on planet Earth. As we move through an ascension process collectively, we move back into a new Lemuria, and we take with us all the knowledge we have accumulated since those times. In this transmission from the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, key codes are presented for cellular memory recall, linking the reader beyond Atlantis and into the harmonious frequencies of the first physical civilization on the Earth, Lemuria. The 9 respond to questions using the Lemurian way as a template. Key-coded responses trigger activations within the reader as they receive the wisdom codes, standing as rainbow warriors of Gaia, moving into abundance, alchemy, and Stargate ascension. This transmission is dear to my heart, and I'm so very pleased to announce my new book, Lessons from a Living Lemuria.